Hi. It is time to review Sister Wives Season 1, Episode 3, which is called Wives on the Move. And in this episode, Cody is finally going to get his wives to move his girlfriend. And somehow, that's not the most insulting part of the episode. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Cozy. I like to snark on Sister Wives here on YouTube. I do like to remind you before we start that this video is for entertainment purposes only. These are not facts, just my opinions about public figures sharing their lives publicly. Cool? Cool. All right, before we jump into the episode, you guys did ask. Here it is. This is the beginnings of the temperature blanket. You can see this is the whole month of January, and this top row of green is the first day of February, which was shockingly in the 50s here. I don't know why. On top of that, I've been making some chubby bunnies. They are adorable. This one doesn't have his ears yet, obviously, but they're super cute. I'm really loving doing them with this yarn. If you want to find the pattern, you can look for Lauren Espy at A Menagerie of Stitches. It is one of her free patterns. It does have arms and legs, but I chose not to use it because I kind of like this eggy shape for Easter. So I made this for one of my kiddos. So shh. All right, I'm going to set that to the side because I don't want to get too distracted because it is absolutely time for this episode. Sitting right off to the corner is Miss Freckles. She might join us. She's finally forgiven me for bringing in a puppy, I think. Nope, she says, no, I'm not coming. Okay. So, this is the episode where Robin finally moves to Lehigh. And it begins with Cody instructing the oldest daughters to throw Robin a birthday party. And this wouldn't be weird, except that it's weird because he's like, listen, you're going to throw this party and we're leaving by 9. And I don't know if this is typical in other families, okay? But when we do a party, it's kind of like people leave when they leave. There's no real set end time, like, get out, because we spend a lot of time together. And we kind of, this is, a little bit of a time for us to converse, to catch up, all that stuff. And I don't want anybody's effort sort of just squashed by having somebody dip out. But it feels like that's what they're going to do. Because it feels like he's like, hey, put in all this effort, but I'm going to take her for the real birthday shindig after it's all said and done. And I know that we know that he doesn't get himself involved in the planning or cleanup stages of parties. So it just kind of sort of solidifies my feeling that Cody's the kind of guy that shows up like 35 minutes late, leaves early, and complains about the quantity or quality of the food on the way out. Because even McKelty is giving him a look like, dude, we're doing this for you, and I feel like you're being kind of a jerk about it. And then Madison sort of just makes this like gesture, but they cut off before we can see what she says. Because she opens her mouth to talk, but it cuts off. But then suddenly a very animated Cody in glasses shows up to remind us about his courtship with Robin. And we get it. He shares that it's her birthday in a week and that he's getting the girls to plan. So watching it back, I really dislike that this feels like sort of a forced acceptance of Robin. Like, you're going to plan this birthday party. I don't care how you actually feel about her. Just do what I tell you to do. I don't know. Why couldn't Cody plan it for her? Or, I mean, he said he had such a romantic bug, right? He says, I had such a romantic bug in the end of the last episode, so why aren't you doing this? Why are you having everyone else do it? And so it takes me a hot second for me to figure out whose living room are they piled into, because it's clearly not Christine's. It doesn't look like Janelle's. Because I don't, you know what, if it was Christine's, I'd have recognized that ugly cabinet right away. Because like I said, we've got one in our family. In fact, I popped over to my mom's and I was like, ugly cabinet the other day. And she's like, I don't get it. So, so the camera swings. We're in Mary's place. And I wonder if they filmed here more often because it was easier to get better shots. She seems to have the more open concept space compared to the other wives. Janelle's living room is in a separate space. Christine's is kind of tucked off in the corner. So I feel like this was probably a better spot for filming. Because the only other spot that we see a ton of seems to be Janelle's kitchen. But the kids buckle down to start planning. And the cake suggestion is German chocolate, which I can get behind. I like a good German chocolate cake. If you get a gross German chocolate cake, no, I'm not feeling it. Though, let me tell you, red velvet cake with homemade Waldorf icing, oh. Yep, that's all I need in my life. So I was laughing at the suggestion for dinner because the suggestion was lasagna, and we all know that Robin thinks she makes bomb lasagna. So I was dying. I was like, they're gonna have Robin make her own lasagna because that would be funny to me. But then during the discussion of ice cream, Cody's explaining to us how he's so busy getting, making all the plans to get Robin to Lehigh, and that's why he can't do this. And he's like, we need to bridge the gap between us, and it's not necessarily fun. No, it wouldn't be. It would be very, very stressful. You have 17 people in Lehigh currently, I think. And now you're trying to add an additional, no, it's too much. So, back in our planning session for the party though, somebody suggests face painting. And I'll be honest, I didn't quite catch who said it. And like, now I'm wondering if this is a birthday party for a 30-year-old or a school carnival. But because I don't think I've ever been to a birthday party where somebody was having face painting done that wasn't like at a location that already offered it, you know? And Maddie shoots us down saying this is going to be a normal party. And I don't blame her at all because we don't need to go too crazy here. Like, honestly, we don't. Cody's already said that they're not really staying. He's like, well, you know, we're going to do this and then peace on out here to the date. Because who knows exactly what time Robin's going to get there. If she doesn't get there till 7:30, and then he takes her out at 9, but then where are Robin and the kids going to stay? Because it's a 5-hour drive back. I don't know. Anyway, that's a lot of thinking for me. I have no idea. So Maddie shares that she met Robin when she'd come home from Wyoming. She's like, I walked in the door and all of a sudden there was this person there. And she kind of says it like that. And she's like, she does not have a excited look on her face at all about this. And she's like, Mom warned us that Dad had a friend over. And she's like, and then we found out she was single. And so everyone's like, seems fairly uncomfortable with how young Robin is. They're all like, ooh, at least she's not 18, which like, gross. Gross, gross, gross. You know, like I don't like thinking about that. I don't like thinking about how I know these kinds of things happen in different areas, but ooh, I don't like it. So Janelle reminds us that the kids have grown up seeing that their friends have added moms to their families and they see courtships, but like now we know she feels like they may not have given enough time and handled this in the best way. They kind of told the kids, sit down, shut up, you're going to do what we want you to do. And so when we go back to Maddie, she shares that she sees Robin more like a friend, but she knows she'll eventually have to see her as a mother. And I think that these kids have always sort of struggled to see Robin as the same as the OG 3 moms. And I really can't blame them for it. You know, in the grand scheme of things, Robin isn't that much older than all of them. They've grown up knowing all of the wives as moms. And so to add someone else in this young, this late into their lives, it's kind of complicated and confusing. It kind of harkens to that whole thing of where Isabel is technically an adult at this time, but she's talking about what do I say about David's family, because he doesn't feel like a stepdad, he doesn't feel like these things. And so for them, that might have been a similar feeling. I'm already 14, 15 years old. I'm a couple years away from getting out of the house. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around this, and I don't blame her. But then I feel like there had to have been a lot of growing pains in this family that never healed correctly. And we know that they didn't because we're hearing Robin's kids now say, well, we don't want our own families because of the way that you treated us. As much as we've heard that, I don't know. I don't know how much I can go that. But the kids go on to discuss how, is it weird or not that their dad is dating Robin? And it seems like almost everybody thinks it's weird. We only have one vote for not weird. And then the story that we get about Robin sniffing a jacket that McKelty was wearing and be like, I miss your dad. That's weird. That one's weird. For sure, that's weird. But Maddie's got some great expressions through the whole thing. And if you just kind of have to watch the dynamic between her and Robin in the early episodes. Because we're going to go on later to see her help move Robin. And there's a few moments where I'm like, Maddie very much so makes her feelings known on polygamy right here. And she's like, not doing it. So it jumps forward a week in time to the birthday party. And based on how dark it looks like it's going to last 15 minutes before Cody hightails it out of there with Robin to the fancy dinner and real celebration. Because it looks like everyone's already eating when Robin gets there. So my speculation of like 7:30 at night doesn't seem that far off. But the best part of this is where Robin lets us know she's only ever been in a monogamous marriage. Which completely contradicts everything she has said for the last, I don't know how many years. I don't know what it would be like to have a man around all the time. In polygamy, this. I grew up in polygamy. I never lived monogamy. I'm a man. Girl, You literally just told us in the 3rd episode, only the 2nd time we've met you, that you were in a monogamous marriage. Though now I believe she says it was a polygamous marriage that never took another wife. That's not, whatever. Whatever. So we know the only person who's never, ever, ever experienced monogamy up until her recent wedding was Christine. I'm sorry, Freckles is laying on her back with her legs up in the air just staring at me. It is the strangest thing. So this is where Christine shares that Cody and Robin had sealed the engagement with a kiss and how much it hurt her. So I know a lot of people were like, that's silly, but you know what? I kind of get it. Because my understanding is that in the AUB, you reserve that for marriage. You don't, those are not the dating standards you're allowed to have with a plural wife, or courting standards. I'm going to say dating because it feels like they didn't follow courtship standards to me. So one of those would be completely chaste courtships. No kissing. In general, I believe touching is very off of the table for that. I could be incorrect, but this is my understanding from the things that I've seen, read, and heard. But I think Christine took that very much to heart, because we know that she has said, well, actually she reveals right here, that she and Cody kissed on their wedding day over the altar. And so if memory serves me correctly, the book said that Janelle did not wait, but that would have been prior to Christine, and also Janelle and Cody came from a different background with the LDS, and perhaps Mary wouldn't have cared or didn't know. I don't know, and I believe Mary did not wait either. But Christine wouldn't have necessarily felt betrayed by that. She probably would have felt more betrayed by somebody who said, I grew up in the faith, turning around and doing this. And I think that Christine probably simply held Cody to the same standard that she had held him to during their courtship, and so it anticipated that he would treat the courtship the same way, because that seemed like it was the arrangement that they had. So when he violated that particular part of the agreement, it really broke her heart. And it makes sense to me. So when Robin hears that Christine is hurt, instead of really actually apologizing, she prefers to break down in tears and make it about herself. She's like, I didn't know this would break my heart. Honey. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. That is not, as somebody who has dealt with people who do this all the time, that's not an apology. If someone says, I was very hurt that X happened, Y happened, and this is why I was hurt, to say, I didn't know it would break my heart. No, that's selfish. What you should say is, I'm so very sorry that my actions caused you distress. Anything like that. I am so sorry that my actions hurt you. Not, I didn't know this would hurt me. So if anybody's confused about how to apologize, there you go. Quick reminder. I doubt that. You guys all seem like wonderful people. So, but then the thing that she says that struck me as just odd, it hits the ear strange and it makes you go, what? She says that he kissed her and she thought, okay, it's done. So, and then says, it's been done. What does that mean? Like, I know this could have several meanings. I know it could just be like, she just said a thing, but I very much so think that this was not the first time. It's not going to be the last. And it just kind of adds fuel to that fire of they were involved in whatever prior to. I can't say that that's 100%. I'm just saying that fans the flames of those rumors. But in sharing this story, Christine's face looks super hurt. And then when Robin goes from this huge smile to crying, no one reacts. Like, it's almost like nobody thinks she's actually crying. There's a lot of just not looking at her, or looking past her, or staring right at her with no emotion reaction. But like, no one seems to react like they think that she's crying, but she isn't, because they zoom way in on her, and there are no tears. No, not even like pinky red eyes you normally get right before crying. So Christine shares that she thinks he's gone way too much. He travels too much to see Robin, and it's tearing them apart. And she actually says it's tearing us apart. And then they focus directly on Cody, and he is chewing his lips hard and looks super unhappy. And there's probably some wishful thinking on my part, but maybe even a touch guilty, because the way he's chewing on his lips looks guilty. And I wish we could see Christine's face when she says, on the flip side, because I wonder if she is reacting to the look that Cody's giving her. Because she says, Robin's great. And I'm starting to really think, yeah, Christine probably did have Robin sussed out from the beginning. Or at the bare minimum, had Cody completely sussed out and was trying to point out the unfairness. And then we get a rare shot of long hair Mary. And so now, okay, I had written this whole long thing in my notes about how I was super confused because long hair Mary and the footage we had seen before with short hair Mary showed the calendar at Robin's reading September 2009, except that Robin's birthday is in October, right around Gabe's birthday. And it seems very clear that in October they are engaged, which means the September footage was shot completely out of order, because if they're already engaged by October and Mary still has long hair, they're showing us the footage from September, but that's not where it belongs. Does that make sense? Because when we see it on the couch, okay, so we go back to the whole thing where they're telling the kids in the big meeting that Cody is interested in Robin. And I had said in a previous video, oh, hey, Mary's got short hair here. And then somebody, I don't even remember who it was, and I'm so sorry that I don't remember who it was. You called me out and you were like, nope, look again, because on the couch, when she's sitting on the back of the couch, she's got long hair. But in the clip, moments before, where Cody is wearing a wedding ring, she has short hair, and it's very obviously short hair. Like, it is clipped up or in a ponytail, and you can tell it is short, but she still has the same shirt on. And so I was like, why is Gwen so confused before? Well, of course Gwen was confused, because this was way before, and now I had worked at this whole thing, and it just no longer tracks. Anyway, so the yard work scene was filmed way after they had already told the kids. So when they're talking in the yard work scene about we have this big meeting, I am sure the kids were like, what big meeting? We already know everything at this point. And I'm starting to think it's possible that the yard work scene, hear me out, was filmed after the wedding. Cody's wearing a wedding ring when he's talking to Mary in the kitchen. In most of the other scenes, he is not wearing it, whether Mary's hair is long or short. He's wearing it then. I think that they filmed at least that bit, that little tidbit, after he and Robin were already married. Not 100% sure, but I think so. Anyway, so at any rate, everything I've said up to this point about the timeline has been thrown completely out the window. It's a whole hot mess. None of what I just said makes sense. Good luck to everybody. You come here for some reason. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. So, as Mary's giving Robin her gift, Cody's like, I'm not the only one who's in love with Robin, which, blah. And we cut to the couch where Mary says there's a lot of emotions. And she calls him out when she's like, basically saying, yeah, I wonder when he's going to give me the attention he's giving her. Okay. But looking back now, I definitely missed a lot of moments believing that they were being honest when they said things were okay. And with years of hindsight, it is obvious here that Mary is telling us things are not going well with Cody, that she's struggling. And so she looks like she's struggling trying to get out her idea about Robin being the shiny new thing and how she and Cody have been married for a long time. I would think if you've been married to somebody for a long time, that should strengthen your bond, but what do I know? I've only been married for 7 years this spring. I had to do math. I'm sorry. I had to do math. And so maybe I don't know that much. Whatever it is. But anyway, she gives Robin a friendship necklace. And when we come back to the couch, Mary is now crying. And she says, I didn't want to do this. I'm comfortable with Janelle and Christine. And it's like, oh my God. You get all these years down the road and you sort of forget how many times they were like, I don't want to do this. Please don't make me do this. And then this is also where Mary's like, I'm only staying for my kid. She is distraught. And I remember thinking it was so confusing because we were told that Mary had basically hand-selected Robin, that she was really excited about this. She had had a testimony. And it was so strange for her to essentially be like, I want to leave. I'm done. I don't want to do this. I'm upset. I don't want, I'm happy with the way things are. And then looking back now, it's like, I think part of it was she probably really didn't want Cody to marry again. They were struggling, and then Robin joining made it that much more difficult, but she also felt like she had brought Robin in, so maybe that would garner her some favor. Ugh. And I really do think now, yeah, no, Mary did not pick out Robin. But it seems like Mary and Christine are the ones most desperately trying to tell us that something is not right. And every time that they try to voice their concerns, Cody has this look on his face. And it's hard to describe. But when Mary reveals that she only wants to stay for her commitment and her kiddo, his eyes like dart left and right real quick. And he looks concerned. Like he's got this look on his face like, wait. Somebody would think about leaving me? And this is one of the earliest instances of a wife confessing to considering leaving. Like, we're in episode 3, and a wife just said, I want to leave. Like, oh my lord. So anyway, for him to say he had no idea until Christine blew up the family seems really silly now, because Cody's face does genuinely look like he's surprised Mary would say she would leave. I don't know. She's like, I wouldn't do that, though. And she didn't. But I still stand firmly in the camp that Cody left her long before she ever left him, so it didn't matter. Now, Christine is in the car and shares with us that after having 5 kids, she really thought she was done. And she says, Aspen said that she should consider having more. Aspen's 14 here. I don't know. I don't know if I believe it or not, but Aspen's basically acting as like a pseudo mother for a lot of the kids that they already had. I don't know. But then she's like, Cody wants more kids. And it sounds like it was probably more pressure from Cody than from Aspen. I don't know. She says there are 6 years between Isabel and Truly, and it's kind of panicking her and freaking her out a little bit. And I can understand that because there are some age gaps in my family. Like I have a sibling who is 6 years younger than I am, and I have another one who is almost 13 years younger than I am. Oh boy, that it's kind of a wild thing when you realize that you're in your mid-30s and your youngest sibling is just now like finishing up college and starting to branch out on their own life. And you're like, oh, I have 3 kids and you live in a dorm room. Like it's so strange. So this is a sensitive topic warning. Christine does explain that she had a miscarriage a little over a year ago. I am not going to go into detail here. All we need to know is it was kind of a dangerous situation. I'm glad she made it out the other side. Anytime that these kinds of things get brought up, I'm probably going to gloss over them a little bit. I have my own trauma related to pregnancy and childbirth that make it a little bit too difficult for me to discuss at length. But it does explain her concerns and why she's off to see her doctor. So, on the couch, Christine says that Cody is a great father. And she's like, but when I first got married, I wasn't sure he was doing a great job. At what? Being a husband or a father? Because Logan wasn't born yet. And so, was it when you first got married, like when you were like newlywed, before Logan's birth, or like later on you were like, you suck at this? Like, I don't know. I'm sure he probably wasn't doing a great job at managing 3 wives. And I do kind of forget just how honest that Christine was with us back in the beginning, because she says a lot of very honest things. And we see her go into Dr. Bean's office, and then we get to see Truly on the ultrasound. And she's like so excited because it's been a while since she's gotten to see her. And Dr. Bean chooses to show them her heart and how it functions. And it's like, I don't know, she's like, Truly goes nuts at the sound of Cody's voice. And I actually got genuinely sad. I was like, wow. I'm sure that's probably changed. And so he shows them the heart, and it's just beating away there, which is so neat. Like, it's just one of those neat things that you never really get to see. It's not like anybody's just walking around going, can I do an ultrasound on your heart real quick? You know? And he said, and Dr. Bean shares that babies have to go through a change of heart to survive when they're born, because there's a flap that's open in utero that closes when they're born to help them, help their hearts pump and to move oxygen, which is really kind of neat. And so on the couch, Cody says that he loves that Truly is a girl because he knew there was a chance that Christine might try again for a boy. I hate everything about that. Like, I hate it so much. Listen, I know there are a lot of people who have high hopes for the gender of their baby. They have these lives planned out. And for me personally, I would have never been like, not what I want to try again about any of my kids. Because frankly, I'm just happy to have happy, healthy, sweet children. End of story. But this woman has already given you 6 babies. And Janelle has given him plenty of sons. Like, there's no chance the family name is dying out. What are you pushing for? But Cody makes the same joke that Janelle did, sort of, by saying he's glad that Truly is still a girl because that would have been a strange change. And yet not as uncommon as one might think. They get these things wrong all the time. So Christine says she's looking at her age and the number of kids she has, and she's thinking about whether or not more kids would be a good idea. And she seems really, really hesitant. And I think she's still kind of trying to, play nice and nicey with Cody a little bit, because she's like, another pregnancy could be fun, and being pregnant with Robin could be fun. But as soon as she stops talking and says that, she gives this head shake no, and then rolls her eyes. Like, no, I don't, Like, it's a whole thing. And then Cody sort of obliviously says, ask it again in 3 years. I had never noticed the head shake and eye roll previously, but Christine is done. Even if Cody thinks there's a chance she's going to keep going. Good for her. We should all get to have a say in how many kids we're having, frankly. So coming back from a commercial break, we get Cody in one of those awful printed button-down shirts. I hate those things. I just do. From the early 2000s, you know what I'm talking about? It is like a reminder of high school and college years, and I can smell the cloud of Axe body spray in Phoenix wafting as the person walks. I hate that thing so much. And guys thought they looked so great and smelled so good. Oof, I couldn't do it. Anyway, so it's a chaotic roundup as Cody is like shouting at everybody to try and get everybody to move Robin from southern Utah up to Lehigh. And he's like, they found a place half a mile from the big house. And one of the kids, I genuinely can't tell who, says, we aren't only 40 minutes late, we're 45 minutes late. And like, that put me on edge because I can't stand being late. And when you're super casual about it, it makes me panic. Like, So then, it's to the point where they're so casual about being late. The B-roll is one of the kids on a pogo stick. Like, oh my gosh. And he's like, I'm trying to herd all the cats, or kids, to actually move her. And so he yells, go tell your mother. And the question asked is, which one? So that gives you the idea that the kids really actually did see the OG3 all as their mothers. So they're trying to get everybody out of the house. The confusion is annoying me. Janelle's like, listen, I couldn't get off work, so I'm staying back with some of the kids. And they only take 7 of them with them. And I cannot figure out who made the cut and who did not. Because we hear Logan and Hunter's name. And then we see Peyton and what appears to be Gwen in the car when Garrison opens the door. So that leaves 2 more kids. And they took a ton of the younger kids and not the older kids. Logic does not run strong in this family, I swear. But on the couch, Mary's like, it's about dang time she's moving. And Robin's doing that weird teeth-sucking thing, which is the first time we've ever seen it from her. That thing that she does when she doesn't want anybody to talk. And so everybody kind of gives this uncomfortable laugh, and Mary apologizes, which, unnecessary. Cody's like, yeah, we're both getting tired from the trip. And Christine's like, yeah, so are we. And if looks could kill, Robin looks so sour. Her jaw is tight. She is like clenched. And she looks legitimately angry for a moment. And Christine's like, it's it's disjointed having Robin down there. And it'll be nice to be all together. And you'd think this lovely sentiment would get like a smile from Robin. But we get the beaker frown she gives us now. I can't even do it. And I normally wouldn't point it out, but it is like a really odd reaction for something quite so optimistic. But back at Robin's house, Maddie is there helping. And like, we often overlook Maddie's exceptionally short tenure as the nanny, and that is unfair. Just because McKelty gave much more in service doesn't mean that we should forget Maddie's contribution. So thank you, Maddie, for having the tenure of maybe a week as Robin's nanny. But then another moment of anxiety as Robin's like, yeah, we're packing up the house and intending to move the next day. And the camera pans, and the whole kitchen is not packed. To the point where there are bananas on the counter and fruit in a fruit tower, for lack of a better word. Who buys fresh fruit when they know they're moving? You're moving 5 hours away and you bought fresh fruit and have not packed your kitchen, and the moving truck is coming tomorrow. Oh my God. And then they have real dishes out. There are paper plates. Robin, paper plates. I understand you can use them for a couple of days. Just get by. I could not imagine everyone coming to help me move and then them walking in the door and finding out I had packed nothing, or conversely, being the person walking into the door finding out nothing was packed. I would freak out. Because honestly, the idea of doing everything all at once would send me into panic attacks and heart palpitations. But on the couch, they're talking about Robin getting moved, and the first mention of potentially having Robin move into the big house. So Robin immediately jumps in and was like, but it would be improper. Okay, I think it was really more about having her kids keep the same standard of living that they were used to, if I'm being honest. There was not a lot of room at the big house. She probably would have had to share a room with her daughters, more than likely, and she wouldn't be afforded the privacy that she was used to already, especially that she and Cody were used to already. Listen, it doesn't matter what they were up to, they still had plenty of privacy. And so we cut back to Robin's house, and she's like, I think we're going to pack up the kitchen. Ma'am, you think you're... I cannot. Brianna, they asked Brianna, is it scary for you to move? And she's like, yeah. But she seems actually kind of excited about it, which is good. And Robin explains that they're going to put it all in boxes. And so back on the couch, she jumps into explaining how she had to hide her life from her friends. I don't recall her bio dad being a polygamist. Maybe I'm wrong. And the relationship with her mother and stepfather wasn't really like the Brown family. She had to keep it a secret from everyone. But in reality, did she? She was not a little kid, from my understanding, when Paul came into the picture. And she's like, this will be a humongous shock to my high school friends. Okay. I took that to mean that she was not living in the lifestyle that much before that, or she would have said earlier. But she's like, there's times I couldn't claim my dad. And it seemed odd to me because his other family lived in a different state. Like, no one in Utah would have had any idea that Paul had a whole family in Nevada. I don't know. I would think it's one thing to spill the beans, but why saying that he's your dad would be a problem? No one knows your whole history, girl. You can say, that's my stepdad, and nobody's really going to question because they don't know he's got a whole wife and kids in another state. And even if they did, they'd be like, oh yeah, first wife. He got remarried. Yeah. Anyway, Robin says that Dayton and Aurora are at school, and looking into the bedrooms, it does look like some things are packed, but not enough for me. Because, like, one room has several totes, and the other one still has some toys out. And, like, okay, But also, when you guys move, do you pack plastic totes? Like, do you treat plastic totes like boxes? Because I just go and get free boxes from anywhere that, like, anywhere that'll give me boxes after they've cut open their freight. Plastic totes are so expensive. I don't know. Anyway, and Maddie is now packing up the kitchen, which is good. When I paused to try and see the calendar, I cannot make it out at all. And if you guys go back and watch this, are those vacuum sealed cookbooks on the counter, or what am I looking at? So Maddie's like, I'm here to help Birdie move. And she's like, Robin has nicknames for everybody, and I would love to know what those are, because I don't think we've ever heard a single one of them. And Maddie's like, I decided to stick Robin with a nickname, Birdie. And she's like, I love Madison to pieces. And she begins to sniffle and cover her face. She never cries. Her eyes are still bright white. There's no sign of tears. I don't really know how I missed how fake all the crying was in the beginning. I don't. And Madison's like, listen, my parents chose to live polygamy. I'm not doing it. And Robin's like, but you wouldn't have cool people like me. And the answer is yes, you can, because that's what friends are for. Not every friend you have has to be having a relationship with your husband. That's how I'm going to put it. But the weirdest part is when Robin's like, just one guy and you, almost making it sound like she wanted Madison to live polyandry instead of polygamy. I don't know. So Robin's like, well, every child has a choice and we'll support them and love them through it, which sort of seems odd because a little later down the line, Robin is going to adamantly refuse to let the kids go to any other church's youth group. And Dayton gets home and freezes and says he didn't expect the cameras. And I feel for him because I wouldn't want the camera in my face when I just got home from school either. So Robin explains Dayton's diagnosis, and that's another thing I'm not going to get too deep into. Dayton is now an adult, and when he was a child, I think that that information was, best kept to him for his privacy. He's an adult now. I don't have permission to discuss it. We're going to leave it there. So she says that she worries about moving him because it would mess up his schedule. Also understandable. And they include a segment of Dayton apologizing for breaking a picture frame. And it's got pictures of Robin and Cody and the kids. And it's like a weird foreshadowing thing because the glass is broken very similarly to the shattered glass effect on the new season's openers. So Robin's like, I feel like I have, what did she say? I feel like I have so much left, like, to pack. And she's like standing in her bathroom and nothing is packed. There's a closet completely full, and it's just like, oh God. And she's like, I guess I'll feel better when it gets all on the truck. Girl, nothing's going on the truck because you haven't packed anything. And she's like, well, the kids' bedrooms are mostly packed. I'm just like, I'm not even joking when I'm like, I just wanted to crawl out of my own skin. It was driving me so crazy because there's nothing packed away. Whew, if this is a rental, it's gotta be empty. Empty. I would be freaking out. Oh my gosh. I cannot imagine. Yeah. Anyway, so the calendar in her room says it is March, so we at least have a general timeline for the move. And then Cody and Logan pull him with the truck, and the kids are playing outside. And there are tons of hugs, and I love you, that I think came from Gwen. I'm not sure. Christine shares that she's worried about Robin's kids adjusting, which is a reasonable thing to be concerned about. And this is a stressful time for everyone. And it does feel like Christine was either selected or self-selected to share concerns with the audience in order to appease questions or concerns. So Christine is voicing a lot of concerns that we as the audience would have, and being willing to say aloud, I'm worried about it. And it's interesting that later we would be told she never cared about Robin's kids or mothering Robin's kids. But, let's go back to episode 3. Find out if she never cared. Christine was always worried about the kids, but that was the easy part apparently. So what do I know? But then Janelle agrees that because the kids are younger, they struggle to logic it out the way that the other kids do. And Robin's got this super tense jawline as the ladies are talking, like super tense. And the mood feels less like she's worried and more like she's upset that they're expressing this either to the cameras or just out loud in general. But when she speaks, she's like, I'm worried about them. The emotional tone doesn't match the words. She seems really disaffected here. I'm not sure. And maybe part of this is because this was filmed so far into the future that it would have been, like, the emotion wouldn't be there anymore when it was filmed. And so the move would have been too far behind, but the tense feelings make me wonder if this was, like, part of the space where Robin was like, well, the Browns never accepted us, or something like that. I don't know. But something feels up because her jaw is tense. And so we're loading the moving truck and the cars, and it is still chaos. And the loose clothing in the car puts me on edge yet again, because I have OCD, I've mentioned before, and germ issues. And those clothes are clean, and now you're putting them on the dirty floor of the car, and what happens if they roll out of the car and then they fall on the ground? Now you can't wear them, you have to wash them again. It's a whole thing. Like, it's a whole thing. So Christine is sharing on the couch that they knew Robin needed to be moved, and they wanted to make it happen, so they made it happen. And the way she says that the way she says it, like, it brings across, this was coming, this was getting done. Come hell or high water or Cody's complete incompetence. And Mary shares that being in the truck packing it up is kind of like her domain. This is where she shines. And Christine's like, yeah, she's great at, like, I'm great at motivating, but Mary is the absolute key to making this all work. And watching it unfold, that's super true, because Cody calls her a name here that I'm like 80% sure I can't say on YouTube, but it would have been more common to say then, still offensive. And Mary says that her philosophy on hard work is get in, do it, get it done, go home, then take a nap. And I approve this message. I would like to take a nap after I do all of the hard things. So Cody shows up and after seeing tons of footage of his kids packing the truck and Mary organizing and everything and making it fit, and he has the actual audacity to say here, she's getting it done, but it takes forever. And he's like, she overthinks it. And I'm like, oh, get your sorry behind up there and quit ogling Robin for 15 minutes and give her a hand if you're so worried about it. Now listen, I would never move some girlfriend of my husband anywhere but the furthest points of like northern points of Canada. Like, that's where I'd drop her off. But if you said something like that to me, bucko, you are on your own, buddy. Figure it out. So Christine defends how hard Mary's working, and Cody finally removes his arm from around Robin to argue that he's being painted as impotent. No, sir, incompetent would be the word you want here. Because that's a word choice. It's not correct, but whatever. So he claims he isn't walking around with fingers in his nose. May as well. But like, you surely aren't being shown walking around with boxes or heavy furniture or your butt up on that truck giving a hand. And Christine's like, why are you so defensive all of a sudden? And he's like, I'm always defensive when you're criticizing me. And his arm goes firmly back around Robin again. So this moving day comes to the close. We see Robin's kids. And I'm not going to lie, for whatever reason, Brianna sitting there with her fishbowl, just looking into her fishbowl, made me really emotional. Like, I remember moving as a kid and sitting with your pet and looking at the empty house and being like, wow, my life is about to be completely different. And so then I look at things, how things have been over the last several seasons, and the optimism she is showing, smiling at her little fishy, ready to move on to the next part of her life, just breaks my heart. Like, breaks my heart. And Dayton's looking a little lost and wandering around, and I feel that too. Aurora looks like she's enjoying a game of hopscotch, and Brianna carries her little fishy, trying so hard not to spill him or bump into anyone, and they load up and head out for Lehigh. It's dark when they get there, and everyone's so excited to see the house. And the first thing I noticed is Mr. Fishy has found a place on the counter, and he is safe. So they start showing off rooms, and someone's like, oh, this room should be the girls' room because I want to stay here. And Cody's like, nope, Dayton. This should be Dayton's room. And I think he's trying to pump Dayton up by saying he's here to protect the women. I echo what other people here have said about women are able to protect themselves, but Dayton is smiling and seeming so enthusiastic. And so, you know what? I really can't find fault in Cody's attempt to boost his feeling, because sometimes kids just need to hear that you think they're capable of doing things that they aren't sure they could do, just to feel like they have a place. You know what I mean? And so for him to say, nope, Dayton, this is your spot because you're going to be by the window to protect the woman, or protect the women, kind of feels like, I believe in you, buddy. If something happened, I know you're here. And I think that kind of helps build Dayton up in a way. So instead of tearing Cody down for that, I'm going to actually give him points for that one. And Robin's like, these are normal kids doing their thing. Yep, I agree. And she's like, they are a normal family. This is all normal. No, it is not. Strongly disagree. This is not normal. It is not normal to live polygamy or to have a reality show. Because if these things were inherently normal, we wouldn't be interested in them. Right? So it seems super duper late as they're unloading the cars, but gotta get it done. And Robin says that there were things she was keeping in storage for this part of her life, but because this is the good part. And this little interview has to have been done later too, because it looks like she has a wedding. It looks like she has a wedding band on. And then it doesn't look like a Claddagh ring though. It looks just like a plain band. Anyway, so Cody and Logan bring Christine the dryer, I'm going to say, based off of the hose that she's putting on it. But the way he flips his hair, all yours. And it just gives me the ick. Like, ew. It was very, yep, your problem now. And Christine's like, there are a lot of things you learn to do when you're a plural wife because Cody's gone so often. And for her, that's how to install a dryer. I don't know how to do that. When we moved in here, my husband did that. I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out. I just have never done it. So Cody calls everyone all together and he's like, thank you for helping and thank you for being here. And something in me, just like instantly, the second he said, thank you for being here, my brain went, oh my God, he's going to say he needs to stay all night to help Robin unpack. Like, I don't know that he actually did that. It's probably unfair, but that is the absolute first thing my brain said. And that is episode 3 in the books. That's a lot of small details I noticed this time around. Subtle face movements, some hand gestures that I'm not 100% sure if I'm reading them correctly, or I'm just looking at it with so much hindsight that it feels one way even if it isn't. But for whatever reason, my heart just breaks for Robin's kids in this. Just watching them moving and trying to have this optimism like, I don't really have that much against them. They can't help what they've been told. Could they probably branch out and find things out now that they're adults? Yes. But as children, yeah. Their excitement for how things should have been and how things have gone, that's worlds apart. And frankly, Cody and Robin should probably be ashamed for themselves for the way things have gone. So that's episode 3. We are 3 episodes into the first season. We only have a couple more. I have already done my notes for episode 4, so we'll be getting that out shortly. I'm thinking, what's today? I'm thinking probably Tuesday, and then I'll try and get another rewatch out by Friday, Saturday at the latest after that. And then now that I have a few moments of like breathing moments, I am going to watch Daughters of the Cult and try to get some stuff out for you guys for that. And I did already create Christine's Vegas home on The Sims. And now remember, it's The Sims, so it's not perfect. It is not yet uploaded to the gallery, but I did already create it. I'm going to get a couple screenshots of it and put it up on the community tab for anybody who's interested, because I'm really proud of it, and I think I did a pretty darn good job on it, if I do say so myself, which I do. I did not do the floor plan inside, just the exterior, but I think it's pretty cute. So that's all I have for you guys today. I will see you soon with episode 4 and some other fun things. But until then, talk to y'all soon. Bye!